So, having covered the commitment contract and your commitment to the process, as well as our commitment to you that you'll achieve what you want from this course, let me take a few minutes to explain to you and tell you my story. I'm in a very lucky position to be seriously happy with all the areas of my life. I travel the world full time, living in new and exciting countries, experiencing new things and meeting new people constantly. I have been traveling for around 20 months. I'm currently living in Thailand, and I've really enjoyed some really amazing experiences since making the decision to travel and live the life that I currently live. But it hasn't always been like this. I come from a upper class family in South Africa. I have two amazing parents who love each other a lot. I have a younger brother who I'm very close to, and led a pretty normal life. I graduated from high school. I followed that with around 4 years of travel to the United States, where I worked as a water ski instructor. Following that, I spent some time in the UK, working and living in London in the restaurant industry, which was also great. I then came back to South Africa and started a business of my own. The marketing business, which I started with a partner, went really well. We had an amazing 7 years. We made a lot of money. We loved what we did, and success seemed to come. Customers are attracted to businesses that do well, and when you're passionate about what you do, the success seems to come naturally. People feed off that, and it's an easy place to grow from. After 7 years of being in business, the market started to change. The way in which we sold products changed, our suppliers changed, the marketing environment in South Africa in which we operated changed as well, and things started to become a little bit difficult. We made some changes in our business. We cut overheads, we let some staff go, we changed the shape of our business, we changed our business model. But we still continued to battle to some extent. The business wasn't making the money that it used to, and it started to become a bit of a struggle. To cut a very long story short, it took me around another 3 years to make the decision that I needed to get out of my business. I went through a huge amount of internal pressure. Social norms and social conditioning made it very difficult for me to make a decision. I went through personal mantras of things like, you can't leave this business, this is your baby, you need to make sure this works, you wanted bigger things for this business. Those feelings continually played in my head and kept me from making a decision for around 3 years. Not being happy in this one area of my life meant that I also portrayed a very different picture to the rest of the world, to friends and family. I was always seen as the one who had been successful and was happy and making a lot of money. Not being happy in my work and trying to portray to the rest of the world that I was continually happy was a huge amount of internal struggle for me. It started to affect my self-confidence. It started to affect the way that I engaged with people. It affected my relationships. It affected my motivation overall for achieving goals, health, fitness. Everything I did was affected by the fact that this one area of my life wasn't complete. The beauty of hindsight is really amazing. It was inconceivable for me at the time just how much energy it was taking to be unhappy in one area of my life and portray a different message to the rest of the world. I continually had this struggle around how I felt inside and how I portrayed that to everybody else around me. And then one day, after around 3 years of processing this in my head, these continual thoughts of what I was going to do and how I needed to continually making it work, I somehow had a realization that I wasn't going to do this anymore. So I called my partner in and I sat her down. And this had probably been one of the biggest areas in my decision making, was that I started this business with her and I didn't want to leave her. I had these fears that we'd got into this thing together and we needed to finish it together. And I sat down with her one day and I just said to her, I'm completely unhappy doing this and I can't do this anymore. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I can't do this anymore. And she looked at me and said, why is it taking you so long to come and tell me? That was a massive realization for me, because up until this point, that had been one of my biggest concerns. I had assumed that this was going to be a massive impact in her life. And the reality was that I had created this monster into something substantially bigger than it needed to be. Within 4 months, she had bought my shares. I had packed up my life and made the decision that I was going to go traveling. I had reviewed my goals and my personal bucket list, which was basically a long list of things that I wanted to do in my life that I kept adding to, and I wasn't ticking those things off quickly enough. And in May of 2014, I left South Africa and have been traveling full time ever since, and I haven't looked back. My overall happiness has improved. I've developed in areas of my life which I never thought possible. I've met the most amazing people and experienced the most amazing things. I was in Nepal for the earthquake, spent 3 months there, starting a foundation to raise money, which is going to be used to build a school in Nepal. My life has been unbelievably happy and complete since making the decision that took me 3 years to make. So that's a bit of a long introduction around my story, but I think it's important to let you know that I've come from a place where indecision has hampered many of the areas in my life. Not making one simple choice has drastically impacted my overall happiness for a 3-year period in all areas of my life. And I think it's important looking back to see that the answers were probably there all along. And had I been given the process, coaching, and understanding which I now have then, I might have been able to make this decision a bit earlier. So as we start to look at your personal decision, perhaps it's a relationship decision, a financial decision, or a decision to move to a new city, let's move into the next section of the course, which is the decision environment, and start to understand exactly the environment in which you make your choice.